Good evening. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please.
Mayor Calabrese,
Present.
Councilor Fascio,
Present.
Councilman Waldron, he's not with us this evening. Deputy Mayor Sapp is not with us this evening. Councilman Crestus.
Here.
May I get a motion for item number 3?
Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to approve the minutes of the March 17th, 2025 meeting.
Thank you. May I get a second?
Second.
Thank you. Roll call, please.
Councilor Fascio,
Yes.
Councilman Crestus,
Yes.
Mayor Calabrese.
Yes.
Minutes approved.
May I get a motion for item number 4?
Mayor,
Yes, Councilman Crestus.
I'd like to motion to approve item 4, the March 2025 expenditures totaling $5,051,699.26.
Thank you. May I get a second?
Second.
Thank you. Any public comment? Any comment from council? Roll call, please.
Councilman Crestus,
Yes.
Mayor Calabrese,
Yes.
Councilor Fascio.
Yes.
Expenses approved. And there was no sign up for non-agenda public comment this period.
May I get a motion for item 6A?
Mayor,
Yes, Councilor Fascio.
I'd like to make a motion that we approve Resolution 2025-13, ratifying letter of intent with Crystalline Energy to obtain energy supplier pricing and ratifying contract with Freeport Energy for electricity supply starting October 1, 2025 at a fixed rate for a 3-year term.
Thank you. May I get a second?
Second.
Any public comment?
Thank you, Mayor. Greg Swatchik, 648 Gramick Lane. I just, on this item, wanted to share with you that I attended the Wilkins Council meeting last Monday. This was also on their agenda. I didn't memorize the electric company, but I think it's probably the same thing being proposed in the same time frame. A noteworthy point that I'd just like to communicate to y'all is that Manager Vargo over there expressed her concern that she's still digging into whether or not she wants to recommend the proposal that Wilkins is considering. And I would imagine it's similar to ours. Without quoting her, the gist of it was that she's been trying to do good inquiries and investigations and compare prices and particulars, but to use her word, ran into some walls, whether that's reluctance to share information or people just don't know answers to her pertinent questions. I really don't know the nature of it, but they're going to work on it. They didn't move on that evening because she wasn't convinced and comfortable with her understanding of what an appropriate recommendation would be to their council. So I guess a word to the wise is sufficient if we have something similar to that going on here. Again, I don't know any details, but being privy of that, I thought I'd just share it with you. Thank you.
Thank you. Any further public comment? Any comment from council? Roll call, please.
Councilman Crestus,
Yes.
Mayor Calabrese,
Yes.
Councilor Fascio.
Yes.
And item 6A approved.
May I get a motion for item 6B?
Mayor,
Yes, Councilman Crestus.
I'd like to motion to approve item 6B, Resolution 2025-14, awarding the 2025 Community Development Block Grant Program Road Program to Tresco Paving Corporation in the amount of $199,277.50.
Thank you. May I get a second?
Second.
Thank you. Any public comment? Any comment from council? Roll call, please.
Councilman Crestus,
Yes.
Mayor Calabrese,
Yes.
Councilor Fascio.
Yes.
Okay, item 6B approved.
May I get a motion for item 6C?
Mayor,
Yes, Councilor Fascio.
I'd like to make the motion that we approve Resolution 2025-15, awarding the 2025 Capital Road Program base bid and alternates 1 through 3 to Tresco Paving Corporation in the amount of $1,227,056.25.
Thank you. May I get a second?
Second.
Thank you. Any comment from the public? Any comment from council? I just want to say it's very exciting to know that every year we keep continuing with our paving. You know, that's the, it's just fundamentally something that is so necessary, and I'm very pleased to see that we have been doing this at least as long as I've been sitting in this chair. And I know that before that there were some lean years that we could not make this happen. So I'm very, very happy that we're getting all this done and we do it on a continuing basis. Roll call, please.
Mayor Calabrese,
Yes.
Councilor Fascio,
Yes.
Councilman Crestus.
Yes.
Item 6C approved.
May I get a motion for item 6D?
Mayor,
Yes, Councilman Carestas.
I'd like to approve item 6D. Make a motion to approve item 6D, Resolution 2025-16, awarding the 2025 closed-circuit TV inspection contracts base bid and alternative number 1 to State Pipe Services, Inc. in the amount of $226,525, and contract B and C to Jet Services, Inc. in the amounts of $193,072.50 and $29,027.50.
Thank you. May I get a second?
Second.
Thank you. Any comment from the public? Any comment from council? Roll call, please.
Councilor Fascio,
Yes.
Councilman Crestus,
Yes.
Mayor Calabrese.
Yes.
Item 6D approved.
May I get a motion for item 6E?
Mayor,
Yes, Councilor Fascio.
I'd like to make a motion that we approve Resolution 2025-17, ratifying an agreement to participate in the Eastern Allegheny Traffic Safety Alliance DUI Task Force.
Thank you. May I get a second?
Second.
Thank you. Any comment from the public? Any comment from council? I would like to say that I'm glad that we are joining in this alliance. We're doing a number of things that are happening. These things are in the pipeline. Sometimes you don't see them happen. Things happen, they begin months or a year or sometimes years ahead of time. And I think this, in conjunction with some other things that we're doing with traffic calming measures, and I see the head of the Shade Tree Commission here. So everything from planting trees to participating in a DUI task force to some other measures that we're going to be unveiling, I think that the public is going to be very pleased. Sometimes our efforts don't always catch up with the initial request, but we are moving in a good direction with traffic calming measures. May I get roll call, please?
Councilman Crestus,
Yes.
Mayor Calabrese.
Yes.
Councilor Fascio.
Yes.
Item 6E approved.
May I get a motion for item 6F?
Mayor,
Yes, Councilman Carestas.
I'd like to make a motion to approve item 6F, Resolution 2025-18, approving a policy for body-worn audio and video recorders for code enforcement officers.
Thank you. May I get a second?
Second.
Thank you. Any comment from the public? Any comment from council? Briefly, I just want to say that this is another one of those, when you take a look at each of our departments, everything sort of dovetails. And this is always for the, we're always we have a great code enforcement department, no doubt about it, but we're always striving for improvement. That's why we, in the past, had increased funding, we had increased officers, and this is just another measure to increase what's happening in that department, and ultimately, it affects our residents and the quality of life here, our safety and just the quality of life, not just the safety, but the beautification efforts, and each and every home in Penn Hills is subject to this. So I'm very glad to see that this is happening. Roll call, please.
Councilman Crestus,
Yes.
Mayor Calabrese.
Yes.
Counselor Fascio.
Yes.
Item 6F approved.
Thank you. May I get a motion for item 6G?
Mayor,
Yes, Counselor Fascio.
I'd like to make the motion that we approve Resolution 2025-19, approving a grant application to be submitted to the Department of Community and Economic Development. Is that a typo?
Can
The
we,
Department of Community, it should be the DCD,
Yeah.
Just amend it to say that.
so can you, will you just amend it verbally right now?
Yes.
Thank you.
Submitted to the Department of Community and Economic Development Small Water and Sewer Program.
Thank you. May I get a second?
Second.
Thank you. Any comment from the public? Any comment from council? Just once again, this is another movement towards public health and safety. Roll call, please.
Councilman Crestus,
Yes.
Mayor Calabrese,
Yes.
Counselor Fascio.
Yes.
Item 6G approved.
We move to item number 7.
Thank you, Mayor. Vince, are you going to put that up on the screen, the presentation, if you could? Or you know what, I think I have to hit the button over there, maybe. I think that's what it, yeah, could you? I think you have to, this is chair number 5. This is chair 5, so it should be 5, 6. Okay, great.
There we go.
Oh, we got to work. Good, okay, I'm encouraged. Good. Okay, we're off to a good start. Okay. Thank you. So in the last few months, we've been bringing different updates to the mayor and council concerning matters that are ongoing or ones that we might be seeing. So I try to cover as much information as I can during the time that we have here. And so hopefully the information tonight will be helpful. Firstly, on March 5th, the mayor and I, along with some of our staff, met with our fire chiefs up at number 7, and that meeting concerned what Penn Hills is going to do hopefully later this year in terms of any kind of a tax refund that is implemented for the firemen under a new state law. So the mayor and the council, at least from earlier discussions, were interested in doing that. And that can come by way of a property tax refund that gets paid at the end of the year, or it could be a wage tax refund. But it seems as though there was a movement to do that to encourage more volunteerism. So the mayor and council are going to have until really October to decide what they want to do on that item, but that's something we're going to vote on later on. We also met on the 18th of March, the day after our last meeting, with Enterprise Fleet Management concerning some programs that they offer for non-CDL vehicles in terms of a fleet replacement program. It's basically a financing tool, but it's also a fleet rotation plan that we're evaluating internally. We think that it potentially could be a good idea for our police department vehicles and our code office as well. And in addition, we're talking more about our Meals on Wheels fleet. Those are county purchased vehicles, but some of those cars are showing their age as well. So we're going to continue to look at this to see if it makes financial sense for us. Also, a few weeks ago, the Allegheny League of Municipalities sponsored their annual spring conference. A lot of our public officials went there, and they learn a lot about what's going on in other parts of the county, and they gain insight and information that they can bring back to Penn Hills as they fulfill their duties here. Also, I wanted to spend a little bit of time to give an update on the Old William Penn Highway project. That's something that I think a lot of people are probably perhaps wondering about. I had a meeting earlier in the month with Gateway Engineers about that project, and the best way to encapsulate where things are right now is that the plan has been designed. So that is to say that the plan to reconstruct the project and to stabilize it, it's being reviewed by PennDOT, and I know that we could get discouraged sometimes how long it's taking, and there is a draft calendar set up. PennDOT has so many days to review the design. There's also a lot of property rights along there in terms of easements. So they're really not looking at construction until 2026. That's the bad news. It's taking, we had expected maybe it was going to go a little faster, but those are processes that the state has to have. It has to do with the funding comes from the Federal Highway Administration, and the money that's fixing Rhode Island Road and the monies that's fixing Old William Penn Highway is the same kind of money. And under that money, there's a lot of rules and there's a lot of boxes that have to get checked at PennDOT, and that's just the way that it is. It isn't that someone at PennDOT is nefarious or trying to be slow. It's just the process that's in place is the one that's in place because it works for them statewide. So we have to live within that. So the good news is that it's in PennDOT's hands to review the design of it, but the bad news is that it's probably not going to be under construction until sometime, probably at the end of next summer, is from what it sounded like. And they did give me a draft calendar, but there's nothing we can do to really speed it up. So we have to be patient with that, and hopefully it continues to hold up. Moving on to finance, we continue to work towards a fund balance policy that we want to bring forward later this year, certainly before our budget season, so we're continuing working on that. Again, it's on there from the last time when I mentioned it, but trying to always be cognizant of where we are financially, and we know that in 2028 we're going to be paying off some bonds, and so we're trying to always sort of fit our operations within where are we going next, so to speak. We know that we had stimulus funds that we were fortunate enough to get. We programmed those, and now we know that in 28 we're going to get a lifeline financially. And so that's something that we're always thinking about in terms of how we want to program our funds. Our 2024 combined financial statement was advertised. We're required to do that by law. It's on the website too. It's of limited, I would say, cautionary. It's all of the funds combined, so it's not sewer fund, general fund, liquid fuels. It's all one big number. So when you look at it, it looks like a much larger number than it really truthfully is, because a lot of that money's it's not all general fund when you see that in the newspaper. And we continue to monitor the budget as we've been doing, bringing forward financial reports every month, and especially now as we're getting since we ended the first quarter, the finance director is going to be, and I are going to put together sort of a first quarter look at where things are going. So that'll be coming soon too. But as of now, things are on the right track. In the police department and EMS, the call volume numbers are up there for you to see for both departments, and those are not radically different than what we've seen so far this year. 1,500 calls in the police department in March, and in EMS about 870 calls just about. So that's all normal. That's all basically what we expect all the time. We got our first ambulance delivered, but it's being outfitted right now. So that happened a few days ago. And it has to go out for all of the things that it needs, which are considerable. It takes about a month to outfit one of the trucks, as I understand. So that's happening. The 12-hour police scheduling started at the end of March, And in that item, it's an item where no news is good news. And at least for the last 3 weeks, it's really worked well. We haven't really heard anything negative about it. We've heard mostly good. The officers seem like they like it. Obviously, we're keeping an eye on it as it goes. But it isn't a situation of can't be done, there's some snafus or something like that. So I think the fact that we spent the time on it, at least so far, seems to maybe be to our benefit, that it's hopefully going to work the way we wanted it to. So again, it is early, but at least now it doesn't seem like it's having any problems. So we'll be bringing more information back to you and the council throughout the year. Because then it has to be finalized as to whether we definitely want to do it or not. So that's happening right now. Also, you may have noticed outside as you came in this evening, we have one of our devices set up that we purchased for traffic calming. And that device, you'll see it around Penn Hills perhaps. We have a system right now that's called Jammer that is able to count vehicles and tell us a little bit about traffic. But with this new device, it's portable, it's visible, it's a way to get people to slow down. After a certain speed, there's flashing lights that come on top of it. It looks like a police lights. So that's all part of a new plan that we're trying to put together in terms of traffic calming. Earlier in the month, I presented a draft traffic calming policy to our traffic safety committee. On the 15th of May, I'm going to be giving the same presentation again at the CDC. And it's basically about how we analyze data that we collect from those machines and what we do with it in terms of speed enforcement or other ways of traffic calming. And so that's something that we're hoping by the end of the year the mayor and council have something to vote on in terms of a defined process and with defined expectations that we tell the public, this is what happens if you request a speed study. If you think that you have speeding on your street, this is what happens. This is the way we approach it. So we're taking a new look at that problem, and I'm very confident that I think this year we're going to end up with a good system. We have a good system now, but I think we're going to make it better. Also, there's a Citizens Police Academy, and I think there's still openings for that. The police chief asked that I make that announcement as well. That's something that if the public's interested in learning about policing and the different aspects of what goes on in a local police department, there's a series of classes. Some of them are held here. Some of them are held, I believe, in Monroeville and other places. So it's a very educational endeavor. Some of our council is going to sign up for it. I know in the past there's been participation as well. Also, we're continuing to, it's on the list because it's important, but Penn Hills is going to have to update its mandatory police officer retirement age. I think right now it's 60, and we have some people that are butting up against that, and so we want to take a look at what other departments are doing and maybe what's a best practice, but it seems likely that we're going to increase that number. It's just a matter of what it would increase to. The DPW and wastewater treatment departments, there I keep it on there all the time because we have a recruitment and retention issue. Not a lot of people want to be certified operators. That's something we contend with, and we're continuing to wrestle with that, and it's just not an easy. It's not a problem that has an easy solution, but we have to work within the confines of the solutions we're given. Earlier in the meeting, we asked the mayor and council to approve the application to the small sewer and water fund. So that's happening. That's for concrete repairs. Hopefully we get that funding. It's a 15% match. Also, we're starting hot patch again now because the plants are opened. So that's a good thing. Our solicitor is, I don't have an update, he may, but we're working on getting some arrearage money that is owed to us by Plum Borough Municipal Authority. We have an agreement with them that they have to pay for the flows that they send our system, and they haven't been really good about paying due to a dispute over some language in the agreement. And so hopefully that gets ironed out this year, and we get some revenue there that we actually aren't getting right now, and it's considerable money. So our solicitor's working on that. Over the weekend, we had the Easter egg hunt, which I don't think got rained out. I think there was a concern that it would, but it ended up, I think, being good weather. I haven't talked to John about it, but I don't have any. Was it? Were you there?
For
Okay.
part.
For part of it. So that was happening. The parks opened earlier in the month. There was a kids cooking class. That's something new that I think Recreation is doing. That's something interesting if you want to look into it. The splash pad opens Memorial Day weekend, and I think right now, if I'm not mistaken, we're sending out people that if you want to participate in the parade, you could still sign up, Mr. Shepard, right? So just as a public service announcement, if someone is of an organization that they want to participate in our parade, they could still sign up to do that. Next, in planning and code, just to touch on a couple things. This first one is hot off the press, and it's something that the mayor and council are going to have to give some thought to along with our planning staff. But last year, if you come to these meetings, you'll remember that we selected Action Housing to administer certain home dollars. There's a program that is called Home Funds, and it provides financial assistance and borrowing benefits and things like that for home buyers, and especially in this environment, we know that that's important. And it's been a very successful program. We were not alerted, I shouldn't say, but Action Housing's no longer going to administer that money after this last round. So presuming that the mayor and the council want to stay in the consortium, we're going to, in 26, 27, and 28, have to find someone else to administer that money, or we're going to have to administer it ourselves, and I don't know that we're going to want to do that. So we're going to be working with Allegheny County probably to do an RFP to figure out who's going to administer that money. So that's something that we're going to be working on soon too. And as I said, we just learned about that a few days ago. So it could be a good thing depending on maybe there's a local organization that takes a look at it. I'm not sure, but it's probably going to be an RFP as we go. The code office, we have a lot of new faces, as I had mentioned. So that's something that's going on. And also, as the mayor pointed out about the benefits of the body camera policy, it's really been a great thing for our police department. It's good for the public. It's good for the officers too. So we were one of the first, I think, municipalities to have police body cams, probably in Allegheny County, maybe, I think. And so we're probably going to be one of the first to have the same program for our code officers. So I think that's a really good thing. It says a lot about how we're viewing the service that we're providing. And as I said, it protects the public and the officer. And then we continue to manage a lot of other grants and programs. Gateway Engineers every month now, they do send us a list of grant programs and openings. There's a lot of programs that are available, not all of which might make sense. Some of them do. Some of them are for things that we don't administer. But we try to take advantage of most of the programs as they come up. There's just a sampling there of some things that are ongoing for April and May that are due. In code, I don't know whether you could see this. Our code director gave me this, and it's the way it was. I took it and had to try to fit it into this format, so I guess it shrunk it down. It probably could be bigger, but it's basically a breakout of how many complaints they've fielded this year, occupancy permits that they've issued. There's a number of building permits, and there's a number of complaints you could read. Now, the interesting thing is, at least for this period, I think this is 1 month, if I'm not mistaken, they fielded 200 complaints, but not all of them were actionable. So, it's really important if you call. We're here. The code office is obviously there to take complaints, but not everything's an actionable complaint. So, if you just don't like your neighbor, if you're having a neighbor dispute, that's, sometimes the code office isn't the best arbitrator of all that. But as you can see, there's a lot of fees that go with that too. But again, we're doing a lot of occupancy inspections too. A lot of communities don't do that. It's to our advantage that we do it. I think that's how we keep our housing stock in the right direction. But all of that's available if anybody is more interested in it to make it bigger. And I didn't bring it with me, and I wish I would have. But we were finally successful in implementing MFA. And if you're not familiar with MFA, as I wasn't, basically what it means is that if you're a user of remote, that is to say technologies, if you're a user of our systems but you're accessing them remotely, say you're off-site and you need to log into our systems for perhaps your email or whatever, you actually get prompted, and it is a little bit of it shows what the screen looks like. It actually asked you for a password, and I wanted to bring it. It's in my office. I wanted to bring it to the meeting to show you what it is, but it's basically like a little device. It's like a little plastic device, and you hit a button on it, and it gives you a number, and so that's the number that you have to type into the computer in order to access the system. So it's basically another layer of security on the remote access of the systems, right? And you may be wondering, well, that sounds really, like a good idea. Like you probably don't have that at home necessarily, depending on how you have your devices. But the reason for it is really twofold. The first is that it's really protecting the municipality because there's really been an uptick in cyber issues and foreign actors and malevolent actors accessing different governmental systems, and there's been ransoms and all these things. And we were very fortunate. We've had like a little bit of experience with that, but not like a disaster with it, right? And so by having this system that Jesse worked very hard at, by the way, because it sounds easy. It just sounds like, oh, that's easy. You just give everybody one of these things and it works. And it's really not like that. There's multiple servers. There's a lot of complications to it, really. It's not easy necessarily for an organization, especially like a local government, because not everyone's really to this point to have this. So the first reason really of it is that it's protecting our sort of our infrastructure. And then the second part of it is that by having it, we're able to access a greater insurance value. So like we have a cyber insurance policy that most agencies have. And so if you have a cyber incident, that policy kicks in, but it only pays so much. And so like because we have MFA now, we're going to have up to $1 million of cyber insurance coverage for the municipality, but there's not a really big price increase with it. And so essentially where this is going is that everyone's eventually going to have this probably if they're a school district or a municipality or a local government in order to get that insurance, because the insurance companies aren't going to want to write that cyber policy unless you take these steps. So we're very happy with it. I'm very, can't say enough about Jesse for multitasking because he was doing this plus some other things. So us having this really moves us ahead. I've talked to some other people, vendors of technologies. Not all communities are this far ahead to where they have this extra layer, I would say, of security. So that's a good thing. So we're finally done with that. And it was a little bit of a headache, to tell you the truth, from what it sounds like. And a lot of it's really above my general understanding of how these systems works. But basically, it's a really good thing. Also, the website improvement and enhancement, that's ongoing. I'm looking to make some changes to some of the aesthetics and some of the features of it. And also, we're going to be getting our outside display repaired. You might have noticed that the outside display sign hasn't been working for a while. There was some issues obtaining the parts, and there were some of these other issues. And then I think we had to have it put on we had to have a surge protector. So the long short of it is that we identified a local vendor that provides these services, and so that's going to be repaired soon too, because it's, like I said, right now it seems like it's been off if you've noticed that it's been out for a long time, it's because it has, and it's a parts and a supply issue. So hopefully we get that fixed through a local vendor that's going to be helping us with that. On the library and senior center slide, a lot of the information might have been from last time around. What is new here is that there were 2 finalist firms that were interviewed. That there's been no selection made yet, but the library is hoping to submit an application in October to the Keystone Fund. It's called the Keystone Grant. I think it's through the State Department of Education, but and it's a pretty significant grant. I think it's a $700,000 grant, if I'm not mistaken. But that grant requires that there be an architect that guides that process. So the 2 firms that they're interviewing, I know that a lot of them have experience with libraries in Allegheny County and throughout the region. So hopefully, if we get the money, that'll actually be a good project. I learned a lot just by interviewing some of those architects, and also because I don't know that it was in there so clearly, but these are the roads that we're going to be paving under the capital paving this year. Because in the agenda tonight, there was 2 sets of paving. There was the CDBG paving, and then there was the capital paving, but it wasn't real, it wasn't really, big letters or, what anyone call big font. So those are the roads we're going to be paving for the capital paving, and that's all I have for now. Okay, so if there's any questions about it.
Yeah, just that. I know this takes a lot of time out of your day to put this together, but it's extremely informative. So
You know what?
Thank you for doing this.
Okay, good. Glad to know.
Yeah.
Any comment from the public?
Thank you, Mayor. Greg Swatchick, 648 Gramick Lane. It's not really a comment. I'm trying to make sure I play by the rules and ask a question of the manager based, germane to the topics he discussed. And what it just goes to is simply Old William Penn Highway. And I'm just throwing it out there for possible consideration, considering the time frame, expectation. The undulation in the road is pretty severe, and it got to that point over time. And I'm just wondering, instead of leaving it like that for some extended period of time to effect proper repairs, would any, scabbing on of some asphalt, or at least the deep holes? I've seen paving companies dump, piles on the side of the road that they have as an extra amount after a specific job. And if there was maybe communication between federal, state, or public works, that if extra asphalt becomes available and a roller, and it could be coordinated, as a special order type thing. And since I'm bringing this up, I'd also like to caution about, I'm not familiar, a solicitor could determine all that, is if there's any liability of doing a half, job that could create a worse situation where someone could cite, hey, you made it worse, and it's like the doctor's creed. I can't imagine why replacing some of the air volume with real material asphalt and rolling it in, just like patching a big pothole, might remedy the situation and get us over the tide.
I think I understand your question.
Yeah, and that's
what I
all.
would say
Whether
is
that's-
honest. Yeah, I mean, I understand your question.
Okay, thank you.
We have, just to point out, we do have professionals on this.
Bill Mouch, 1335 Maple Avenue. I don't know if any of you have been down Brown Avenue going into Tuttle Creek recently or not, but they have a big landslide just before you enter Tuttle Creek. And what they did, they put up a temporary red light. So they stopped. There's only one lane of traffic, and it's about 100 yards long. So when the right's green, you can go, and when it's red, you stop. And it's just one lane. I wonder if you could, maybe the same thing could be done on Old 22. That road's going to cave in before 2026. It's not going to last. And somebody's going to go over the hill, I'm sure. So, things should be done to mitigate a possible death on that highway,
Yeah,
really.
Again,
And the other
we-
question I have, I heard on the grapevine that we may be paying $17 an hour for high school seniors to pick up litter. Is that true?
I mean, we have a lot of employees here. I know in the past we sought out employees, but we didn't get anybody to apply. But I don't know that that's a new program. I would be the one to know. I mean, it's not. I mean, I know in the past we talked about having a litter pickup crew, but we didn't really get anybody to apply. There wasn't an interest.
Not one person.
But
Did we advertise in a high school?
you know what? I mean, we advertised probably at the time we did it, which would have been a year or two ago. I imagine it would have been on. It was 2 years ago.
And
I
I think
imagine it would have went on our website. It would have went on our. It would have went in the newspaper like it usually does.
And that was $12 an hour back then, correct?
It was less than it is now because I
Yeah.
know things are different now
Okay.
even than 2 years ago.
And the other question, if this happens, if this comes about, who's going to pick and choose what roads are going to be maintained?
When you say maintain, what do you mean?
I mean, the litter to
Well,
be picked up.
we do some limited litter pickup now with the Department of Public Works that we have. I mean, they do what they can, but I mean, it isn't their primary function either.
But
Okay.
just for clarity, I'm sorry, Bill, we don't have that program running this summer
No.
that I'm aware of,
Okay. All right, never mind.
okay? Okay. Great. No.
Counselor Fascio, we're down to council comments. Any comments?
Just like to echo the thank you to the manager. It's a lot of stuff. And I would ask that both he, Mr. Shepherd, our engineers, to please keep an eye on the old William Penn Highway issue.
I'm going to ask Gateway to take a look at it to see if there's any temporary
Right,
mitigation that could be done
right, yeah.
within reason.
I fully understand that we're dealing with the bureaucracy around approvals, so it's not meant as
And a lot
any-
of it, honestly, like, and it's something that is just a reality. It has a lot to do with property rights, you know, just like with our
property
code
rights,
office.
environmental
And there's
issues.
environmental issues, and there's easements, and so
Right.
it's
Understood. I just, an extra look. Adam's here tonight playing Rick. And, you know, if we could take a look at that, certainly it makes me uncomfortable to drive over it. And I don't think I'm particularly skittish. Was very glad to hear that the 12-hour scheduling seems to be going well. I've also heard that from several officers, that they're very pleased with it. And I'm sure that's not 100%, but you're never going to get 100%. So thank you for putting that in place and the work that's been done to make that happen. That's about it.
Councilman Crestis.
Yeah, just quickly wanted to say that really happy to hear the conversation is continuing around possible tax relief for our volunteer fighters, you know. Anything we could do to show our appreciation, you know, I think we should be definitely doing with that volunteer force. So hoping to hear that it comes up to vote someday soon. Thanks.
Yep.
You know, I think you learn like in 11th grade that you're told government is about social issues and fiscal matters, fiscal meaning money, right? And then when you actually get in and you want to roll up your sleeves and you think you're going to change people's lives, and then you get in and you find out,
It's sewers.
yeah, you know, we really have almost zero power to do anything on social issues. We just, you know, it's really, those are federal issues, constitutional law matters. We are in the business of roads and bridges and sewers. But then when you get down to it, and I look out like, and I see the head of the Shade Tree Commission here, first of all, there is a lot of bureaucracy. I think one of the things that, one of the very first things, and I'm almost certain this was pre-COVID, So how long ago was that, right? We're in 2025. So it has been years to try to get to the 12-hour shift. And you pretty much only have two options when you're doing a shift, right? When you're doing these schedules. And it finally happened, but it took years to get to that. I have had nothing but positive feedback. It has changed the quality of life for our officers, I'm told, which ultimately changes the quality of life for our residents. Because when they were working 6 days in a row, and I have no idea what it's like to be in that car, but I don't think there's any job, no matter how much you love it, you can work 6 days in a row and not at some point get burned out, and particularly seeing the things that they sometimes have to see. So this way they are now getting at least a weekend off, and they can make plans and do those sorts of things. So I've had 100% positive feedback, but, and so when we look at public safety, we have absolutely no way of having a paid professional fire department like they have, for example, in Pittsburgh. We just could never afford that. So we have very few ways of saying thank you and that we appreciate you, and one of them is to give a tax refund in some form. So I'm grateful that we are moving in that direction. Two of our major entranceways are Rhode Island Road and Old William Penn Highway. We do have professionals working on that. So much of what we do is intertwined with and or governed by, governed at the federal level, the state level, the county level, but we have a good working relationship. We sit up here and we are elected officials. We are not experts in for example, repairing Old William Penn Highway, but we have professionals on that, and so at some point we have to trust their judgment at that. And so we really do, and we have a great professionals that we're working with. But so much of this revolves around public safety, public health. We have coming in on May 12th at 7 o'clock. As the manager said, we were at ALOM, which is the Allegheny League of Municipalities. We went to the conference there. And so I'm pulling this up so that I can make sure that I don't give you the wrong date. But notice has gone out, and it will continue to go out. A representative from Alcosan, and not just any representative. This is someone who's very high up right now. We have Jean Clark, who's scheduled to come here, and unless something occurs, she will be here on May 12th at 7 o'clock, and she will do a presentation on the Clean Water Assistance Fund. And that's akin to like when people can get financial assistance with other utilities like the electric bill, the gas bill. So this is helping with sewer water. With the sewer assistance. We have the Arbor Day celebration, which is coming up. Is it this Saturday? Yes. What time? 2 to 4 at Duff Park. From 2 o'clock to 4 o'clock at Duff Park. Duff Park is right here beside the police station. And we have, once again, we are a Tree City USA. And that's not just something that you get. I don't want to steal your thunder, but that's a really, really big deal. Only a few communities in southwestern Pennsylvania are one. I know that Forest Hills is one, and we are one. And there are a number of criteria, one of which is we spend about $80,000 or so. There's a per capita amount of funding that has to happen. We have a Memorial Day parade coming up. A few years ago, I was called to Shannon Road, not going down towards Verona, but coming up from Verona. There's a curve. I was blown away. You would not believe there were like 6 of these accidents during one several-week period in the summer. Cars come up that road, and they don't realize or they don't negotiate that curve. And so instead of turning, they go straight. They literally go straight into someone's living room. Literally, can you imagine a car comes through your front window? These people will fix their walkway, and it happens again. It was happening and happening. I literally went down and met with them. I saw it. I could not get PennDOT, the state would not come in and declare that for whatever reason. They wouldn't put a declaration on that as being whatever we in lay people's terms would call that a dangerous road. But we are moving, and my hat is off to our manager because we don't see a lot of these things that happen behind the scenes. Our manager is doing a lot for traffic calming, for public safety, public health, all of these things. So even though when you're in 11th grade and you hear, oh, this is what government is about, and you roll up your sleeves and you go, I really do want to change people's lives, and it ends up when you go, we're working on sewers and bridges. But this really does change the quality of people's lives. So there's a lot going on here. And one of the biggest things that I saw when I first moved here, to be honest with you, I was surprised that people were setting chairs up like the night before or early in the morning. The Memorial Day Parade is really a huge deal here. And it doesn't happen in every community. It just doesn't. We have so much here in Penn Hills to be proud of. So I do hope that as we kick off the spring and summer season, you'll come and join us. And I hope you'll recognize that we have, for some people say, oh, there's nothing to do here, no place to go. We've got 10 parks, including a dog park. We have our splash pad. We actually have neighborhood playgrounds. There's so much to do and so much going on, and we have a fabulous volunteer base. And really, everybody that I see is working toward a common goal, which is for the improvement of Penn Hills. And we work very, very well with our federal, with our congressmen, with our state senator, our state representative, our county representatives, and locally. And that's what it is, because it really does dovetail. It doesn't all just happen here. We are not an island. So thank you for coming out, and we hope to see you on Saturday, and we hope to see you at all the other events coming up. So on behalf of everyone here, have a very good evening, and we'll see you next week. This meeting's adjourned.